So hello guys, it is Shivam here. Welcome to a brand new video. So this is a complete Flutter beginner course that you are simply asking for. So before moving to this course, I want to simply show you the roadmap of what all things we are going to cover on this course. So here you can see that we will simply start with our programming basic, where we are going to cover all the basic thing that you need to simply know to write your first code in VS Code. Now, after that, we'll simply move to the Flutter widgets, and here we are going to cover all the important widgets that will simply help you to make your first Flutter app. Now, after that, we'll simply help you to make your first app by using a Flutter with a simple widgets, and you will simply get to know how to use the widgets to make a awesome app. Now after doing this, we'll simply move to our last point, which is an e-commerce app. So in the e-commerce app, I am going to make a complete app from the scratch for you all, and by following that you will get to know a lots of things regarding a Flutter, and you will add some apps to your resume. So in the programming basics, we are going to cover a data type, variable, different type of operators, if else condition, while loop, for loop, list, map, functions, and many more. So let's get started with this awesome complete Flutter beginner course for you all. So now let's move to our first section, which is a program basics. So in this section, I'm going to cover each and everything that we need to simply code in the Dart code. So if you are new to this programming world, so do not need to worry, because I will simply tell you the each basic things that we need to simply code in the VS Code to make your first Flutter app. Yeah. So first I'm going to tell you about a variable. Now you will think that what a variable is. So when you need to simply store a data, you need a variable, right? So for an example, if I want to simply store my name, which is a Shivam Gupta, I need a variable. So here I will simply write name is equals to, and we'll use double inverted comma, and we'll simply write my name, which is Shivam Gupta. Yeah. Now here you can see that I have used a variable name. This is indicate as a variable. Now I just can't write a variable just like this to store a data. We need to simply use some of the data types to indicate what this variable is. So this variable is simply indicated in a double inverted comma. So you know that the common data type we need to simply use to indicate this double inverted comma is a string. Yeah. So as you can see that after writing a string, we can use a variable name, and I can simply store my name, which is a Shivam Gupta. So anything that is under a double inverted comma, it simply acts as a string. So this is a first data type, and how to use a variable with an data type, right? So now I want to simply print my name. So I need to use a print function to simply print my name. So here I will use a print function to simply print my name, and I will simply write like a Shivam Gupta, and I need to simply print this name. Now you will see that I have indicated in the double inverted comma, because now it's going to act as a string, right? And I can use this exact name in the print function. Now if I will remove this double inverted comma, then it will simply throw the error, because now it can't act as a string. So if you are learning the code for the first time, you can simply make a rough note to get an idea how really the code works. So something that indicated in the double inverted comma will act as a string. Now I can use this print function to simply print my string, right? Now let's run this code. As you can see that the output we get over here is a Shivam Gupta that we have simply stored in our print function. So this is how also a print function work. Now you will think that what the use of variable. So here in the name variable, I have simply stored the name Shivam Gupta. So rather than writing a complete name, I can simply write a variable name here also. So I will simply write a name. Now to write this name, as it is outside this void main function, so we need to simply copy this string and we need to simply paste it something over here. Now I will show you that, like, we have stored a Shivam Gupta in the variable name, and here I'm going to simply print that variable. Now I'm going to show you the output. Now I'll simply hot restart the app, and here you can see that we'll get an output Shivam Gupta. So this is how you can simply store a string in this variable, which is a name, and this is an data type. So this is our first data type, which is a string, and the string is just indicated with a double inverted comma, and the something you simply stored in the double inverted comma will act as a string, right? So you get to know what is an variable and what is an first data type, which is a string. Now for an example, here I'm going to use the next data type, which is an integer. Now I need to simply store a number, like for an example age of any person. Then I need to use an integer, which is our second data type, and in the integer we can simply store a age, and here I can simply store his age like 18. So this is a number and this is a variable name, which is an age, and this is a data type, right? So you get to know the difference between a data type and the variable, and how we can simply store a number by using a integer data type. Now if I want to simply print like addition of two numbers, I can also do like this. Like I can use a print function and I can write 27 plus like 18, sorry, 27 plus 18, and here I will simply get an output. So let me hot restart it again, and here you can see the output, which is in 45. So this is how we can simply directly store a number and can show the addition by using a print function. Now you will think that what is an use of variable then? Now if we have stored some value in any variable, I can directly use that variable over here, which is an age, and I simply write the age that we have stored can simply increase by 18, and now we can simply show the value like 36. So the 18 simply comes over here in this position. So 18 plus 18 will be give the output, which is a 36. So right, so this is how you can simply use an integer, which is our like second data type. Now let's move forward with our third data type. So for an example, if you want to simply store a currency in like $4 point cents or like 3 rupees dot paisa, so you can do that by using a double. So I will use a double and will can simply set a price of any product by using a double. So I will write a double and will now create a variable name, which is a price, and now we can tell the variable price that it going to act as a double, and now I can simply store a value like for like $3.05, and this is how we can simply store a value in the form of point by using a double data type. So this is our third data type. Now again I can use a print function to simply print our price, which is 3.05. Yeah, so now let's move to our fourth data type, which is a bool, and through the bool we can simply store like if this user is a beginner or not. So here I will write is beginner, so I will write beginner is equals to true, and will simply store a true in our variable, which is beginner, and now I can simply print a bool and we can write a variable name, which is beginner. Yeah, so this is how you can simply use a print function and I have told you about a basic data types like string, integer, double and a boolean character. And as I have told you that a variable is something where we can simply store a value, and by just passing the data type we can tell that variable like how it's going to work. Like, yeah, so this is a difference between a data type and a variable. I think so this is now much clear for you how to use a data type and what is an variable. Now let's move to our second section of this programming basics, which is a basic math operators. So I'm going to teach you now the basic math operators that we are usually going to use in our Dart code. So for an example, if I want to simply show the addition of two numbers, I'm going to use the operator which is known as an addition. So here I will write 2 plus plus and will write 2, and it will simply give me the value which is a 4. Yeah, so here is a first operator, and I will simply use a print function so that I can show you the case of all the operators that I'm going to teach. So I will simply write 4 plus 4, and here I'm going to get an output which is an 8, right? Yeah, so here you can see that we have simply get an output which is an 8. Now let's move to our second operator, which is an subtraction. So for an example, if I want to simply subtract a two number, I need to use 4 minus 1, which simply get a result like 3, and we can use over here in a print function. So write 4 minus 1, and here I will simply get the output which is 3. Yeah, so this is addition, subtraction. Now if you want to multiply a two number, you need to use a number first and a operator which is our multiplication operator, and here I am going to use the second number, and the output we are going to get is 6, and we can do a same case over here. Yeah, so this is how you can get 6, which is our multiplication operator. Now let's move to our fourth operator, which is an divide. Now if you want to divide a number, then you need to simply use a divide operator, and here is a divide sign, and here I need to write a second number, and the result will get is 2, and you can write same thing over here. Yeah, so this is how you can simply get a result, and you will see that when you are going to use like 8 divided by 4, then you will get a value in the form of double, because you can see it has written 2.0. Now let's move to our fifth operator, which is a module, and module simply gives us the remainder when you simply divide a two number. So for example, if I will simply write 9 and I will pass a module sign, and here I will simply divide a 9 with a 4, so the remainder we are going to get is a 1. So through the divide we simply get a quotient, and through the module we simply get a remainder. So these are the two different cases of using a divide and a module. So here if I will write a 9 module 4, then here I am going to simply get a remainder which is 1, right? So these are the two different cases of how to use a divide and a module to simply get a quotient and a remainder. So these are the some basic math operator, which is a addition, subtraction, multiplication, divide and a module. So this is how you can simply use this basic 5 math operators in the Dart code to make your code really effective. Now let's move to our third section of this programming basics, comparison operators. So the word comparison itself says that it simply compare two values, right? Now usually these comparison operators are used in if else condition, but I will tell you what really if else condition and how we can simply use a comparison operator there. But let me show you what all types of comparison operators are there. So if we want to simply check that if one number is equals to another number, like if both the number simply match with each other or not. So here we are going to use a comparison operator which is double equals to, and here I will simply pass our first number which is an 5, and here I am going to use a second number which is a 5, and now we can simply check that if this two number is equal. So here we don't need to use a single equals to, we need to use a double equals to, because as I've told you before, as a single equals to will simply help us to assign a value, not it will not help us to compare the two values. Now if you will use a double equals to, it will simply help us to compare our two values. Now the result we are going to get over here which is a true. Yeah, so this is how we can simply compare the two values, and we usually tell this operators as equals to. So we'll write equals to, equals to, you can say equals to. And here now let's move to the second operator which is not equal to. Now if you want a case like to check if first number should not be equals to another number, now the sign we are going to use like here to exclamation mark equals to, and here I am going to write a second number which is 3. So here I will simply write like not equals to. So I will write not equals to. Yeah, so let me make it capital. So I will write true. Yeah, now here comes our third comparison operator which is a greater than. So as the word says greater than, so you need to simply use like a two number and just pass like if this number is greater than the second number. So I will pass 3 is greater than 2, then the result we are going to get is a true. Yeah, so this is our third operator which is a greater than. Yeah, now let's move to the our fourth operator which is a less than. So we need to simply use the sign of less than, and here the value we are going to get is true, and we'll simply write a less than. So this is our fourth operator, you can say, which is a less than. Now if you want to check like if there is a two number should be greater than or it should be equals to, like so it going to work like an or. So let me show what I'm telling about. So for an example, if I'll write 5 should be greater than or equals to, I'm telling here greater than or equals to. Yeah, so here you will see that 5 is greater than 5, no, but I am telling greater than or. So here I have used a word or. So now I will check that if 5 is equals to 5, yes, then here the value we are going to get is not a value. So the result here we are going to get is a true, right? So it simply says that greater or equals to. So this word or give a main impact on this operator, like if the greater statement will be false, then it's going to check that if that two number are simply equals to or not. Yeah, so if both the case will be false, then it will simply show the result false, or either of the one cases will be true, then it will simply show the result which is true. Yeah, now there is just a reverse case of this operator. Here I will simply write 4 is less than or equals to, and here I am going to pass 3. So the result I am going to get will also be true, because though it is not equal, like this number is not equals to this number, but 4 is simply here I will write 3 and here I'll write 4. Yeah, so 3 is less than 4. So here we'll simply get a value true, and here we'll simply write less than or equal to equals to. Yeah, so this is the like 1 2 3 4 5 6, yeah, 6 comparison operator that we widely use in our Dart code and in the if else condition. Yeah, now I'm telling about if else condition again and again, but do not need to worry, I will tell you what if else condition and how we can simply use them in our code. Now let's move to our fourth section of this program basic, which is a logical operators. So here the logical operators that we widely use in our Dart code is first one, which is an AND operator. So the AND operator will simply check that if the two values is true or not. So the both value should be true, then it will simply return true. Now here I'm going to write age, and in this age, now think that this is an variable, and here on this age I'm going to simply store a value like an 18, and here on this operator, logical operator, which is our AND operator, will simply check the two case. So first case that I'm going to write over here, like age should be greater than 20. So this is our first case, and here now I'm going to write a second case, which is age should be less than 20. Yeah, so this is our second case, and here I'm going to simply write 16 over here. So this is our first case, like age should be greater than 16 and age should be less than 20. Now if we need to simply check that if this both the case are true or not. Now to check this both these cases, I need to simply use like AND operator, and here we can simply indicate a AND operator, and AND operator will simply check that if these two cases are true or not. So if, as you can see, 18 is greater than 16, yes, and 18 is less than 20, yes, so the both case are true, then here the result we are going to get, which is a simply true. Yeah, so this is how we can simply use a AND operator to simply check the two cases. Now here comes our next operator in our logical operator, which is OR operator. So as I've told you before in the comparison operator, the use of OR operator, but that was just for an, like if you use a greater than or equals to. But how if you want to simply check that if any of these two cases is true or not? Yeah, so let me show you what I am telling about. So here I will simply write age should be like less than 16, and here I am going to write a second case, which is like age should be less than 20. Now you will think that this statement or condition is false. Yes, you are right, because 18 is not less than 16 and this statement is true. But if we want to simply check that if any of these two statement or condition is true or not, so in this case you need to simply use this operator, which is an OR operator, and now OR operator will simply check that if any of these two cases are true or not, and here this case is true rather than this statement is false, then here I am going to simply get a result which is untrue. So this is how the OR operators going to work. So let me show you this case in a print function. So here I will simply write a print. Yeah, now I need to simply store a value first, so I will use a int. So I will use a int age, and here I'm going to store a value 18, and here I'm going to use this exact case and will simply print it over here, and now I'm going to check that what result we get. So here you can see that as I've told you, we will simply get a result which is true, and you can pass a same thing over here and you can check the output. So the output we again get is true. So this is how the two common logical operators we widely use to simply check the two condition we pass. Now let's move to our fifth section of this program basic, which is a condition statement. So in this condition statement, I'm going to teach you about a if else condition. So as I've talked about if else condition many times before, so now I will teach you how the if else condition going to work and how it is one of the most important condition that we widely used in all our Dart code. Now here, to write a if else condition, first I'm going to create a integer. So here I'm simply going to write a data type which is an integer and age a variable, and will simply store a value which is an 18. Now I'm going to simply check that if the users that who are using this app is above 18 or not. Yeah. So here the first user age is 18, then I will simply check that by using a if else condition. So we'll write if age, which is our variable name, and I will simply write age over here, and here I'm going to use the what our comparison operator, which is like greater than or equals to, because if he is 18 or above 18, then we need to simply show that print, will use a print function to simply show yes, he qualify to use this app. Yeah. So this is how we can simply check that if the user is 18 or above 18. So what this operator we call, I think so you can remind what this operator we call. Yeah, if you are telling it is greater than or equals to, then you are right. So this is a comparison operator which is named as greater than or equal to, and here we will simply check that the user age should be greater than or equals to 18. Now if this statement is false, then we'll simply move to our next case that we are going to write, which is an else, and in the else we'll simply print the output like no, he didn't qualify to use this app. So we'll write no, he didn't qualify to use this app. Yeah. So let me show you the output first. So as you can see, our age is set up to 18. So 18 is not greater than 18, but it is equals to. So here it will simply check that 18 is equals to 18. So that's why we simply get an output yes, he qualified to use this app. Yeah. Now if I will simply change it to 16, now what output we will get? Now if you are thinking that we'll get output no, he didn't qualify to use this app, then you are right, because if statement will simply get false and it will simply move to the else case and it will simply print this output. So this is how if else condition work. Now here I have written one case. So like if you are making an app for Shivam amusement park, though I don't have any amusement park, so I'm just taking an example, like the amusement park is named Shivam amusement park, then the eligibility for the each age is will be shown in the app like this. Like if a children is below 13, then they are simply eligible for the children activity, and if the children is above 13, then they are just eligible for the ground rides, and if they are above 18, then they eligible for the water rides. So these are the some eligibility case that we need to simply show in our app, yeah, that we are making for this amusement park. Now to show this case, we need to simply use a if else condition. Now let me show you how we can simply use a if else condition to show this eligibility case. So for an example, if the age of a respective user that simply signs up in the app is of like, let's keep the age of 20, yeah, and we'll simply use a int data type to simply store a value of a age which is 20. Now we'll check that if this user like, so let's take a name like Suresh, whose age is 20, and he is simply eligible for which of these activities. Yeah, so here to check that I will use a if else condition, and will simply check that if Suresh age is greater than 13. Yeah, so basically we don't know his age, so he will simply input his age in the app. So we'll simply check that if the Suresh age is greater than 18, not 13, sorry, if greater than 18, then we'll simply print like yes, he is eligible for water right. Now here we have wrote a first condition like if the Suresh age is above 18, then yes, he is eligible for water rights. Now here we need to simply check our second case if this statement will be false, like if the Suresh age is not above 18, then we'll check that if the Suresh age is above 13. Now to check the another condition, here I'm going to use a else if, and in the else if condition we'll simply check that if the Suresh age is above 13, and here we'll simply print the condition yes, he is eligible for ground rights. Yeah, now these are the two conditions, like if his age is above 18, then we'll simply print this, and if not, then the workflow, or you can say a code flow, will directly move to this else if case, and it will simply check that if the Suresh age is above 13, then it simply print this output. Now if this statement is also false, then the last condition that simply left, so we'll simply pass that in the else condition that his age is below 13, and we need to simply print like he is eligible for children activity. Yeah, so this is how we can simply write a condition by using the if else condition. Now let me show you the output, because we have simply set up the Suresh age up to 20. Now we'll simply hot restart the app, and here you can see that yes, he is eligible for the water rights, because as the condition for this amusement park is like if the user age is above 13, he is simply eligible for the water rights. So here we simply get our output yes, he is eligible for water rights. Now let's make a Suresh age up to 12, and now let's check the case, and we'll simply get like yes, he is eligible for a children activity. Now his age is below 13, so he is just eligible for a children activity. Yeah, so this is how we can simply print this. Now let's keep the age 15, and let's check our second case. Yes, he is eligible for the ground rights, because his age is less than 18 but his age is more than 13, so that's why it simply moved to the else if condition. Now let me explain you how the code flow work over here. So for an example, in the if condition you have written this condition, and if this statement is false, then the workflow will simply move to the else if condition, and here it will simply check that, and if this condition is also false, then it will simply move down. Now the else condition is that condition if any of the statement above else is like all the statement, not any, if all the statement above else are false, then else will simply show the condition, or you can say the output that he has. Yeah, now I think so you are much clear of how to use a if else, and how to simply make your coding really awesome by using a if else condition. Now let's move to our sixth section of our program basic, which is a while loop. Now I have taught you about a if else condition. So the if else condition work in a one flow, but if you want to simply print a series of a number, you need to simply run the code again and again. So while loop itself says that it is a loop, so it keep on running again and again until the condition is false. So this loop is very necessary for us to simply print some of the series. Yeah, so let's move and write a code for our while loop. So here I will simply write a while, and in the while loop I'm going to simply print the series of a number from 1 to 10. So here I'm going to use a integer I. So here first I'm going to write an integer, and will simply use a integer data type and a variable which is I, and in the I am simply going to store a value which is 1. And here, as I told you, we'll simply print the series of a number from 1 to 10, like 1 2 3 4 up to 10. Then so once the I reaches to 10, we need to simply close that while loop. So here I will simply write a while, and will say that in the condition. So here in the condition we need to simply write I should be less than or equals to 10, because we need to simply print up to 10. Now here I need to simply use a print function so that I can show you what all numbers that we are getting in the I. Now we need to simply increase the value of I by 1. So here I will simply write I is equals to I plus 1. Now this will simply increase the I value to 2, 3, 4 like this. Now if you don't want to write like this, you can also write like this in a short form. It will also increase the value by 1, I plus plus. You just need to write I plus plus. Yeah, so I will simply write I plus plus over here to simply increment the value by 1. Yeah, now let's test this case. So I'll simply hot restart the here app again, and now you can see the value which is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So let me explain how this while loop works. So for an example, if the I value is 1, like we have set the I value 1, so 1 is less than equals to 10, yes, then it will simply move over here and it will first print the value of I which is 1. Now it going to simply increase the value by 1, and now I is equals to 2. Yeah, now as I've told you, this is a while loop, so the loop will work something like this, and now this function will go over here, or you can say the flow of the code will go something over here. Now 2 is less than equals to 10, yes, then it will simply print the I to 2. Now it will again increase the value to 3, so it will go up to 10. Now once the value is 10, it will simply go over here. 10 is less than equals to 10, less than or equals to 10. So it is not less than, but it is equals to 10. So that's why it has simply print the value up to 10. Now when it will be 11, then 11 is not less than 10 nor it is equals to 10. So that's why it simply closed the program when this condition is false. So this is how the while loop works. Now here comes one more thing in the while loop, which is a break statement. Now the break statement itself says that it simply break the statement when the condition will be true. So for an example, if I want to simply print the number up to 5, yeah, so what I'm going to do, I will leave the condition as it is. I will not make any changes on this condition. I will simply say that if I is equals to 5, then I will simply break a statement, and I will simply break this loop by using a break statement. Now let's test this and let's see what output we'll get. So as I've told you, 1 2 3 4 5, because as soon as the I value will be 5, 5 is equals to 5, yes, then once the if condition will be true, it will simply call a break statement, and break statement will simply tell the while loop to stop. You can't move it from here. So it simply shows a red signal that this loop can't move from here, and we need to simply stop it over here. So this is how the while loop works. Now there is just opposite of while loop, which is a continue. As you can see that after writing like this, I have simply get this output here. Now let me explain you what the difference between a continue and a break statement. So as you can see that if I have written in the if condition, as you can see I is equals to 5, and in I equals to 5 I have simply passed like a continue statement. Now the continue statement will simply skip the process, like for an example, as let's start from the beginning. So I is equals to 1, so I 1 is less than equals to 10, yes. So here it simply shows I plus plus, and 2 is not equals to 5, yeah. So this statement will be false and it will simply print I. So that's why you are seeing 2 here. Now 3 4, now when the I will be 5 by using I plus plus, then 5 is equals to 5, yeah. Now once the statement is true, then it will simply call this continue statement. Now this continue statement will simply skip the process that he have after this if condition. That's why you can see that 2 3 4, and once it I was 5, it simply skip the process and it doesn't reach till print, and that's why the execution simply move from here to here. And now 5 is less than equals to 10, yes. Then 5 I plus plus I is equals to 6, and that's why this condition will be false, and that's why you simply see a 6 over here, not 5. So continue statement will simply tell that to keep on moving the loop, do not stop the loop, but simply skip the case if we have find any of the condition is true. I think so. Now you get a big difference between a break statement and a continue statement. So the break statement will simply close the whole loop, but continue statement will skip the process and it will say that a while loop to keep on moving until the condition is false, yeah. So this is a big difference between a break statement and a continue statement. So you can simply use a break and continue statement to simply make your work easy in the Dart code, yeah. So this was all about a while loop, a break statement and a continue statement. In this seventh section I have simply wrote our second loop, which is a for loop. So in the for loop you don't need to pass a variable outside the condition. Let me show you what all I'm talking about. So let's remove this while loop, and here I will simply create a thing for a for loop. So to handle a for loop I just need to write a for, and here I will simply give a variable inside a for loop. Though you know that in the while loop we simply pass a variable outside a while loop, but in the for loop we'll simply pass a variable inside the for loop. So I will simply write a data type int I is equals to 0, and here next I'm going to simply pass a condition I should be less than 10. So this is the one most important thing. So for an example, if you are writing a variable over here and you need to simply write a next condition, don't separate it with a comma because it will simply throw the error. So use a semicolon over here, and here we'll simply write that I should be less than 10 and again semicolon. Now we can simply pass a increment operator over here. So I will simply use I plus plus, yeah, something like this. Now I can use a bracket, and now I can simply print I. So this is just a 2 line to simply write a for loop and print the series of number from 0 to 9, or if you will pass equals to, then you can simply print from 0 to 10. So you can see that there is a lots of difference between a while loop and for loop. Most of the developers are widely use the for loop over a while loop because as you can see that to write a syntax for the for loop is very easy rather than writing a syntax for a while loop, because in the while loop you need to pass a lots of thing. Rather than a for loop you can simply pass a like data type, a condition, a increment operator into a one statement. So this is a big difference between a for loop and a while loop, and I have also told you why the most of the developers used a for loop rather than a while loop. Now let me show you the output that we will get here. So here you can see the output 0 to 10, and we can simply print a series of a number from 0 to 10. So this is how you can simply use a for loop. Now this is a for loop, but you will see that there is one more thing in the for loop, which is a nested loop. Now you will think that what is nested loop? So nested loop is something where you will simply combine a one loop over the another, something like a stack widget. But don't get confused with a stack widget. I'm going to cover a stack widget also, like different type of widgets that we widely use in Flutter. So here it has written a for loop. Now inside this for loop, I'm going to write a second for loop, which is for int y equals to 0, and we'll simply write y, and here I will print a number up to 2, and we'll simply write y. Sorry, why I'm writing comma. So this is a mistake that you can make, though I have already made a mistake, but simply make sure that when you are writing this all the things, simply separate it with a semicolon rather than a comma. So here we have passed a data type, or you can say a variable, and a condition. Now I can simply pass an increment operator, and here inside this for loop I am going to simply print both I and y, something like this. Now we can simply print I and y. So let me show you the output first, then I am going to explain how the nested loop works. Not loop, yeah, nested for loop works. So now I'll simply hot restart the app again. So this is the output over here. I think so that will be very difficult for you to understand, so let me make it simple for you to show. So here I will simply use a single inverted comma, and will simply call our I, and then I am going to simply call our y, something like this. Now through the dollar sign it will simply call the value that have been stored in I, and through the dollar y I can simply call a value that have been stored in the y. Now let hot restart the app here again. Now I can simply show you the value. So here you can see that the first output is 0 0. So for example, if I is 0, y is 0, then it will simply print 0 0. Yeah, now you'll see 0 1. So how it simply shows 0 1 over here? Because the nested loop works something like this. So I value is 0 and y value is 0, then we have got our first output. But now the execution, or you can say a flow, will go something over here. So this loop will be called again rather than this loop, because this, if this loop is completely called, then this loop going to work. If this loop is not complete, then it execution or flow won't go over here. So that's why it simply print 0 0 over here in the first case. Now once the execution or the loop go over here, then y plus plus will simply increase the value of y is equals to 1, and it will simply check that 1 is less than 2, yes, then it will simply print like 0 and 1 over here, as you can see the second output. Now you will see 1 0. Now once it had simply print 0 1, the execution simply go over here, and it will simply do y plus plus. Now the value of y is 2. So 2 is less than 2, no. So once this condition will be false, then the execution will simply move over here, and I value will simply change from 0 to 1, and the same thing happens after this. So you can see the I value is 1, now the y value is 0, now 1 1, and again 2 0 2 1 3 0 3 1 4 0 4 1, and it will go up to 10. So this is how the nested loop works. I hope that it is much clear to how to use a nested loop. and how to simply combine a do loop and simply get a result. So this is how a for loop and nested loop works. Move to the eighth section of this program basic, which is a list. So list is one of the most important thing that we widely use in our Dart code. So for an example, as I've shown you that by using a string data type and any variable name, you can simply store a single string, right? For an example, if I will write a string and a name is equals to, and here I will simply store a my name which is Shivam, right? So here in the name variable I have simply stored one string which is a Shivam. Now here what I'm going to do that is, if I want to store a like 3 to 4 strings in a variable, then how will do that? So here comes a case name which is a list. So a list is something that will simply help us to store a more than one string. So here I will use a list, and here I am going to simply write our variable name which is name1, and here I will simply show you how to store a more than one string in a list. So here I will write a user's name which is Shivam, and second username which is Ayush, a third username, let's keep it Shyam. So these are the three strings that I can simply store in the name1 variable by using a list. So you can see that we can also store a multiple strings by using a list. Now here, if I will tell you that to simply print a first string in this list, so what you will do? So let me show you what you will do. You will simply write a print, and here you will write name1 which is our variable name, and you will use a square bracket to indicate as a list. Now here you are going to simply write a value of the string you want to print. So you will think that, as I told you, I want to simply get a first string in the name1 list, then you will see that like Shivam has asked me the first string of the name1 list. So I will simply write a number 1 over here, and I will simply get a first string. So let me show you the output first. So if you will write a 1 over here, then you are wrong, because it will simply print Ayush over here. Now you will simply scratch your mind and you will think that how it simply print Ayush, because the first string is Shivam. So it won't work as you are thinking, because it simply starts from 0, 1, 2. So if you want to simply print a first string from a list name1, then you need to write 0 rather than 1. And now let me hot restart the app again, and here you can see that I have simply get a value, or you can say a string name which is Shivam. So you can see that in the list the value starts from 0, 1, 2. Yeah, so keep on mind, like when you want to simply print a first string from any list, then you can use like name1 0, because it simply starts from 0. Yeah, I hope that it is much clear. So this was the process to simply print a first string from the name1 list. Now I will simply turn the question and I will ask you the second question. Simply print me the last string from the name1 list. Now if you don't know the list size, for an example, here you can see that 0, 1, 2, you will simply write like name1 like this, and you will simply use a square bracket and you will write 2 to simply print a last string which is a Shyam. It is correct, but if you don't know the size of a list, like it is like 100, 200, 300, but you don't know the list accurate size, so how to print a last string from the name1 list? So you can simply do that. First I need to simply get a name1 length. Like if I will get a name1 length over here, then I can simply get my last string. Now let me first show you the name1 length function will do. So I will simply write my variable name, which is name1, and here I will pass the length, and here I will simply get a output of my name1 list. So let hot restart the app, and here you will get a 3. But you will think that it starts from 0, 1, 2, then why I'm getting the value 3? So name1 length will simply starts the counting from 1, 2, 3, but the code count from 0, 1, 2. So this is a difference between how the name1 length works, dot length function works, and how the coding, or you can say a dart code, simply count a string from a list. I hope that it is much clear. Yeah, now let's come to our main question, like how to simply print a last string from the name1 list. So first I will simply get a length of my string. Now if it simply decrease by 1, because as the coding language simply count the first string 0, then I need to simply pass a -1 over here. Now here, to get the string from the name1 list, then I need to simply use a square bracket, and I need to pass a variable name, and here I will simply hot restart the app again, and here you can see the output, which is a Shyam. Yeah, so this is how I can simply get a last string of any list. There are some more functions that simply make your list function very easy. So for an example, let's keep that this is a club. So let me change the variable name1 to club. Yeah, so for example, this is a club, and the club member are Shivam, Ayush, and Shyam. Now here I've got one question to simply check that if the name variable like Shivam is a member of the club or not. So I will simply ask you one question, like Shivam is a member of the club or not. So here you can see all the members that present in the list name club. So to simply search that, I will just write like this, which will be club dot contains, and here I will pass a name. So here it simply says that if the club list contain has the name Shivam in it or not. So here you can see true, because as you can see that Shivam is already present in this club list. So this is how you can simply check that if the specific string is present on that list or not. So there are a lot more functions that you can simply use in a list. So for an example, if you want to simply remove a string from a list, then you can use a dot remove function, and you can simply pass a string over here. So if you want to simply remove a Shivam as a member from this club, then you can directly use dot remove function, and it will simply remove that string from a club list. So these are the some functions that simply make your list very easy. Yeah. Now let's move to our ninth section of our program basic, which is a map. Now a map is something that will be very important when you are adding a backend. So for an example, if you are uploading the data to the cloud Firestore, because as I have already made 10 to 12 apps before on this channel, but if you have followed any of these apps before on my channel, then you already know the use of a map. I think so I don't need you to explain how the map is really useful for you all to simply add a backend in your Flutter app. So a map will simply help us to upload a data to the Firestore database, and when you are simply integrating any of the API, a map is also very necessary at that case. So let me explain you what is a map. So map is a combination of key and value pair. Now let me show you what is key and what is then value. So here I will simply write a map. Yeah, and I just write a map and will use a greater than and smaller sign, and here I will simply write a key and value pair. So our key will be in the form of string. So I am writing a string over here. Now once I have written key, now I need to simply write a value. So I need to simply store a value in a dynamic form. Now you will think that what is dynamic? I didn't hear anything about this word which is a dynamic. So let me explain you a dynamic. So dynamic is something where you can simply store a string, integer, boolean character, a double. So that's why it is simply called a dynamic. Now here I have written a string which is our key. Now I need to simply write a value in which form I want to store. So I am simply writing dynamic. Yeah. Now I need to pass our map name. So I will simply write like user info map and here I will use a, you can say, curly braces, and this is our map name. Now I need to simply store the user details in this map. So I will simply pass a string because our value is in the form of the string. So that's why I've written string over here, and in the string first I want to simply pass the user name. So here I will write a name, and now the dynamic. Now in the dynamic, as I've told you, we can store anything like string, integer, double. So that's why I will simply store a string over here which is the username. Let's pass Shivam. Yeah. Now I want to simply pass his age. So as the key is string, so we need to again write in the form of string, and here now I can pass his age. So I can simply pass an integer like this. So this is the age that we have passed. So name, age. Now you want to simply pass like address, so you can pass an address, and here I will simply write an address, something like this. So this is how the map works, and it simply shows a combination of key and a value pair. As I've told you, the map is very important thing that help you to simply upload a data to the files to database or any of the backend you are using. It will also going to help you when you simply integrate any of the APIs in your Flutter app. So do not get confused like what is a map, as I simply tell you that in one line, map is a combination of key and value pair. And this line will simply cover all the things related to the map. Now let's move to the last section of this program basics, because we have almost covered all the things that we need to simply start a coding in the Dart code. So here I have wrote a function that I'm going to tell. So if you are writing a function, that function will simply make your code easy, and through the function you can simply write a clean code. Now to write a function, I will simply use a void. Yeah. Now in the void I will simply write my function name, which is a total sum. Now this function will simply add the two numbers and give me the result. So this is the function that I'm trying to make. Yeah. Now in this function, first I will get an integer of a value. So I will simply write int a, and I will simply get a value of the another variable which is b. Now to show the sum, I will simply pass a sum is equals to, now I will simply write integer sum is equals to a plus b, and I need to simply return sum over here. Now here comes a main thing that I'm trying to teach you, is that if you are passing a void and you are thinking that I can use a return function, then you are wrong, because a void will simply don't allow to return any of the process that you are running on that function. So if you want to return a value, then do not pass a void over here, then it will simply remove that error, right? Now let's call this function over here. So I will simply write a function name which is total sum, and here I'm going to pass a value which is 10, and a 12. Now let's run the code and let's check the output over here. So let me print the sum because I didn't get a print. So now let's hot restart the app, and here you can see that we simply get a addition of an 2 value which is 10 plus 12, and it simply return with the value which is a 22. So you can see that how we can simply write a function name which is total sum, and we can simply pass a 2 value and can get a return over here. So this is how simply a function works, and a function will be very necessary when you are going to simply code over here. Let's move to our next part of this Flutter beginner course, which is a widgets. So in my each course, I simply show you how to simply write a code by using these widgets. But in our today's video, I will simply tell you about each widgets that we widely use while making our Flutter app. So as I've told you that this is one of the most important video for you all who are simply making their first app, or if they have any queries regarding a Flutter app, they can simply solve that by watching this complete beginner course that I have made. Yeah, so here I have simply made one dart file which is home.dart, and here we simply import the package. Right now, after this, as you have seen me in any of the courses, like after adding this package, we simply write a stateful widget. Now let me explain you what is stateful widget and what is stateless widget. So there are two things, a stateful widget and a stateless widget. So a stateful widget is something where we can use a set state. So as you can see in the stateful widget, I can simply use a set state over here. So by adding this set state, init state, I can simply add a backend by using a stateful widget. Yeah, so you have seen that I have widely used a stateful widget rather than a stateless widget, and in the stateless widget the data are static, they can't be simply changed. Or if you are adding a backend with your Flutter app, then always use a stateful widget rather than a stateless widget, because if you are getting a data from the Firebase or from any of the APIs, the data is not static, because we can simply change a data when we are getting from any of the backend. Yeah, so this was a big difference between a stateful widget and a stateless widget. Yeah, I hope that it is much clear why I prefer to use a stateful widget rather than a stateless widget. Now here in the home.dart file, let's move to our second widget, which is a scaffold. Now you will see that I usually write a scaffold first, then I pass a body, and in the body we keep on writing a different widgets over here. Now the reason for writing a scaffold widget is because, so in the scaffold widget, if you simply move the cursor to the widget, you can see that there are lots of things that you can simply add on this widget. So this is how the VS Code simply make it easy for you to get more about a widgets that you are using. So in the scaffold widget, you can simply use a floating action button. Yeah, so through the floating action button, you can simply add a post, upload a file. So this is one of the main thing, floating action button. And one of the most important thing is a bottom navigation bar. So the bottom navigation bar is the feature that almost present in all the app. So through the scaffold widget, you can simply use a bottom navigation bar also, and you can use a bottom navigation bar and can pass the items and can use this navigation. Yeah, now you can also use a drawer. Basically a drawer, something like this, will simply appear over here. After a drawer in the scaffold widget, you can also pass a app bar. So the app bar is also one of the important feature that you simply see in all the apps. So basically you can see that scaffold widget is something that simply help us to design the app in our way, and without a scaffold widget we can't design main features that we simply needed to make our Flutter app. Yeah, so you get to know use of a scaffold widget. Now after writing a scaffold widget, let's move to the body, and in the body we simply write a complete code that we want to show in our mobile device. Right now in the body, after this we'll simply move to the next widget which has a children. Now you will think that what which widget has a children? So widgets are also a parents and they have also a children and a child. So let me explain you which widgets has a children. By children you can simply know that a widgets where you can simply pass more than one widget, because its name has been written in a children, and in the child you can just pass a one widget. So let me tell you what I am talking about. So here come our first widget which has a children, which is a row. Now in the row you can simply pass a children over here. Now as I have told you, the reason for writing a children is because now in this row widget I can use a multiple widget. So that's why think that row is a parent who has more than one children. So that's why we need to write a children. Yeah, now in this row I can simply pass like icon, and let's pass icons dot star, and let's pass the color, and we'll write colors dot yellow. Yeah, now let me provide some more icons over here, and let me increase the size of an icon up to. So our app has run successfully, and here you can see a 3 stars that I have simply passed in our row widget, and as I've told you it is a children. So in the children I can simply pass a multiple widgets. So here I have simply passed a icon widgets. So here now you can see this 3 stars. If not, let me change in a color red so that it will be simply clear for you to see. Yeah, so here you can see a 3 stars. Now I have simply wrap up with a center widget. So a center widget will simply help us to center down the widget in a screen. So if I will remove this center widget from here, then the star will simply move over here. Now if I will simply use a center widget, then I can simply center this over here. Now in the row widget, widgets are placed horizontally. So you can see that these are stars which has been placed horizontally. Yeah, so this is much clear now. So now when you will simply move your cursor to the row widget, you can see that what all functions you can simply use in a row widget. Now let me explain you some of the basic and the main functions that you can simply use in a row widget. So for example, if you want to simply bring this stars in the center of this screen, so you need to simply pass a main axis alignment dot center. Now the main axis will work horizontally, yeah, and the cross axis, it also have a cross axis alignment dot start, and this cross axis alignment will work vertically for this widgets. Right, I hope that it is much clear. Yeah, now if you want to simply provide a space between this all the widgets, you need to simply use dot, and you can see you can simply pass space around, space between, space evenly. Let's pass space evenly over here, and you can see that we can give a even space between these 3 widgets. Yeah, you can also pass a space between to give a maximum space between these widgets. So these are all the things you can simply do. Now if you want to move this widgets to the end of the screen, you can use main axis alignment dot end, and this is how you can simply move the widgets that have been stored in a row widget. I hope that it is much clear. Now let's move to our third widget, which is a column widget. Now the column widget is also a parent who has a multiple widgets. Now here I will simply use a column widget. Now you will see that, let me remove this. Now you will see that after passing a column widget, how the stars will be aligned. Yeah, so here you can see that after passing the column widget, the stars has been aligned vertically rather than horizontally. So as you know the difference between a column and a row widget, so column will simply help us to align our widgets vertically, right? Now here I want to simply bring this stars to the center of the screen. Now the main will work something like this in the vertical direction, and cross will work as a horizontal direction, just opposite of row widget. So here I will simply write, sorry, not a cross, I will simply write main axis alignment dot center, and it will simply center this stars, or you can say widgets. Now I will use main axis alignment dot end to move to the end of the screen, and main axis alignment dot space evenly to give a even space. So these are all the things that you can simply do in a column widget, and there are many more things, but the main thing you need to simply remind about a column widget that we widely use is a main axis alignment and a cross axis alignment. Now let's move to our fourth widget, who also has a multiple widget, and that has to be known as a parent with a children, is a stack widget. Now here in the stack widget, let me show you the case. So to explain a stack widget, I need to simply use our fifth widget, which is a container. Now the container is a widget who has only one child. Yeah, so we can only store a one widget over there. So here when I will write a container, I can't use a children because he has only one child. So think that container is a parent who has a one child. So I will use just a child, and in the child I can simply use a one widget, which is a text widget. You can use some other widgets, but you can just use a one widget over in the container. Yeah, now here I have used a text widget. Now in the text widget, this is our seventh widget, which is a text widget, and in the text widget we can simply pass the text that we want to show. So here I will use a text like, I will simply write my name, which is Shivam Gupta. Yeah, now here you can see the text, which is Shivam Gupta, which has been directly shown over here. Now here in the container I will simply pass the height and width. So you can also pass height and width like this, up to 300, and a width up to 300. Now you can't see the container now because there is no color we have passed. Now to pass a color to the container, you need to simply use a decoration, a box decoration color, and we'll simply pass colors dot, let's pass red over here, and now you can simply see the container, and this is a container size that we have simply passed over here. Now if you want, you can decrease the height and width, and the container size will automatically decrease with the height and width you pass over here. Yeah, so this is the property where you can pass a height and width to the container. Now in the box decoration, you can provide a lots of things. Like if you want to provide a border radius to this container, you can simply use a border radius dot circular, and will simply pass 20. And this is how you can simply pass a border radius to your container. Yeah, now if you want to provide a border, you can use a border dot all, and the color, which will be colors dot white, and we have simply passed the color to this border, and now you can see the border. Let me change the color to black so that we can see. Yeah, now you can see some border, but if you want to increase the thickness of an border, you can simply use a width, which is 2.0, or let's keep it up to 5.0. Now you can simply see the border that we have provided to this container. Yeah, so there are many things you can use in a border decoration. Like a box decoration, sorry, you can also pass an image. And for example, if you want to simply give a shape to this container in a circle or rectangle, you can use a shape. You can use a shape box shape dot circle. But if you are passing a shape box shape dot circle, please make sure that you won't pass a border radius, because it will automatically change in a circle. So remove a border radius from here, and it will simply change your container to a circle and save with a rectangle. Yeah, so these are the two things that you can pass to give a shape to your container. Yeah, now this was some basic things that we widely use in a container. Now when you will see in the container, there are many more things, but we have covered a basic thing that we simply need. Yeah, now let's move to the text widget. Now if I want to simply center the text widget over here, you already know that you can use a center widget, something like this. And here, if you want to see the change the color of this text widget, you can use a style, a text style. And in the text style, you can pass a color, and we'll pass colors dot white. Now you can pass a font weight also. We'll pass a font weight. So font weight will simply help you to provide a different variation to your text that you have passed. Yeah, you can use font weight dot bold, font weight dot w500. So these are some of the variation, or you can say a thickness of an text widget that you can simply manage. Yeah, right. Now if you want to see increase a font size, you can use a font size. It is 30.0. Let's pass 30.0, or you can use 20.0. Now you can simply see the text clearly. And there are many properties that you can use in a text style, like font size, font weight, I've already told, letter spacing, word spacing. Yeah, so these are all many things that you can simply pass. Now in the decoration, I will write decoration, a text decoration. And if you think that I need to simply provide a underline to this text widget, you can use dot underline, and it will simply provide the underline to this text widget. And if you want to change the color of this underline, you can use a decoration style, and you can pass like a text style, sorry, you can use a text decoration style dot. Like if you want to show the line in the dashed or dotted form, you can also do that. You can use like this. I think so it is clear or not. So you can also pass the text underline in a dotted form, or many more thing. You can pass a decoration colors dot white, and you can simply change the color of this underline you have passed. Yeah, so these are all many things that you can simply do in a text widget. Like you can also pass overline. It will simply move the line above this text widget. And you can also write like this also, underline, line through, something like this. You can provide a line through to the text you have passed over here. Yeah, so this was all the basic things that we need to simply learn in a text widget. Now let's move, as I was teaching about a stack widget. So while covering a stack widget, we have simply covered a container and a text widget, right? Now let's move, and here in the stack widget, I'm going to simply create one more container over here. Yeah, now here I will simply change the color of an second container to black. Now you will see that color of an container we have passed above this container has been overlapped with this container. Now let me show how you can simply see the widget that is behind this container. So let me change the color to black, something like 12, and black 45. Yeah, so now you can see that while passing the color with a low frequency, you can simply see the color of the behind the container. Yeah, so if now I will simply decrease the height of a container up to 100, now you can simply see that there is a container overlap with another container. So this container has been overlapped with this container. So this is a stack widget all about. So like when you want to simply overlap one widget over the another, you can simply use a stack widget. Now a word itself says a stack. So in the stack you simply keep on putting one thing over the another. So this is how this widget works. I hope that now stack widget is also much clear. Move to our seventh widget, which is an image. Now for an example, if you want to simply show the image in your Flutter app, you will use image widget, right? Now here I have written a column widget, and now inside this column widget I will use image. Now here you will see that after writing image, it simply show me the option like image.asset.file.network. Now in the .network you can simply use an image that is in the form of HTTP link. Yeah, so when you are simply getting a data from a Firebase storage which is simply in the form of the link, you can use image.network. Now if you are simply picking a file from your phone gallery, you can use image.file. Now if you have simply saved a image in your asset folder or any of the folder you have named, you can use image.asset. So these are the three different functions that you can simply use in image widget to show your widget in your Flutter app. Now I have simply used one image, like I have saved one image in my images folder, so I will use image.asset to show that image, and now I'm going to simply write images folder name where I have saved the image and an image file name. Now make sure that when you are writing the image file name, it should be exact that have been shown or written over here. Yeah, so I will simply write boy.jpg. Yeah, now if you think that by just writing this case I can simply get an image from my asset folder, then you are wrong, because it will simply throw the error something like this. Now to get the image, let's move to the prospect YAML, and we need to simply call the folder name that where we have saved all the image, which is our images folder. Now simply run this file. Now I can simply use this image over here. So this is how we can simply use an image by saving in any of the folder, yeah, by using image.asset. Now once the image have been shown, you want to simply increase the height and width of an image. You can simply do that by passing the height, and we'll simply pass the height 40, width 40. Yeah, and you will think that where the image gone. Don't worry, if you are passing the height and width, tell the image like how much size it should take. Like we need to simply fit that image, so I need to pass fit, and we'll write fit box fit dot cover. So we'll simply tell the image to cover the height and width that we have provided over here. So here you can see the image, though it's behind the phone screen. Now here comes a main thing, like you can use a padding widget. So here comes our 8 widget, which is a padding widget, and in the padding I can simply pass a padding dot only from the top, and will simply pass 50.0. So now you can see the image, and the padding simply provide a padding from above this image, which is up to 50, right? Now let's increase the height and width of an image so that I can see it clearly. Yeah, now you can see the image, and there are lot many things like fit box fit dot, fit height, fit width. You can use dot contain. So dot contain will simply set up the image by not reducing the image quality. So dot contain is also good, you can also use that. So cover a fill is something that simply fill the height and width. Fill will not care about image quality or anything, he just need to simply fill the height and width. So here you can see that the image simply look like it is completely stretched. so this simply lose the quality of your app. So the main thing I simply use while using image.asset is boxwidth.cover. So this is the main thing. It simply cover the height and width and also maintain the quality of your image. Now here if you want to provide the border radius to this image, you will think that let's wrap up with a container widget. So you will think that yeah, let's wrap the image widget with a container widget, and we'll use a decoration, a box decoration, and we'll simply pass a border radius, and we'll write border radius dot circular 20, and through this I can simply provide a border to this image. Then you are wrong. You are wrong. Nothing will work over here because the container can't provide a border radius to the image. That's why I usually tell that wrap your image widget with a clip react widget. A clip react widget can simply help us to provide a border radius to our image. So we'll pass border radius dot circular 20, 1 2 3 go. So this is how we can simply provide a border radius to our image by using a clip react widget. Yeah, move to our ninth widget, which is a text field. So here I will simply write a text field. Now the text field is one of the most important widgets that I see that we widely use in our all the apps. So here I will simply use main axis alignment dot center so that I can simply center this text field over here. Now I simply wrap up the text field with a container so that I can provide my color and all to the text field, and we can simply design the text field in our way. So we'll simply pass a decoration, a box decoration. Now the color will simply pass colors dot red over here. So here you can see the container and a text field. Now so this is the color I have used so that I can show you how the text field is working. So after passing a text field, you can see that there is a line. Now if you want to simply remove this line over here, you need to simply pass a decoration, input decoration, and you will tell that I don't need this any type of border or nothing. So I will write border input border dot none, and it will simply remove this line from here. Now in this text field I can simply enter any of text like this. So this is how the text fields can simply help us to enter anything over there. Now if you want to simply provide some icon over here or here, you can use a suffix and prefix icon. So like you can use over here a suffix icon, and we'll pass icons dot phone. Sorry, yeah, we'll write icons dot phone. Yeah, so this is how you can provide an icon over here. And if you use a prefix icon, you can provide a icon in a starting position. We'll write mail out. Yeah, so this is how you can simply provide an icon over here or over here, which better suits you. So this other thing. Now in the text field there are many more things, like if you want, like you are writing a password. So you have created one text field where you tell the user to enter a password. Now if the user will enter a password like this, then it won't look like password. Like I need to simply show in the dotted form because it will look like a password. Now to show in the dotted form, I need to simply pass an of secure outside this input decoration of secure text to true, and it simply says that it will secure your text, and by passing this I can simply show the text in a dotted form. Now it's look like a password. Yeah, so this is a thing. Now if you want that the user to simply write a detail over here like up to 4 to 5 lines, you can simply increase the size of a text field by using a max line over here, and will pass 5, and it will simply increase the size of this text field. And now you can simply enter a more than one line in this text field. Yeah, so these are the some unique property that you can use in a text field, and there are many more things like a read only is also a main thing. So for an example, if I will pass read only to true, yeah, now I can't do any changes over here in the text field. So I can simply read and copy this text, but I can't do any changes in the text field. So this is how the text field works, and it has many more things, like you can provide a cursor with, as you can see that there is a cursor simply shows, sorry, why it has taken a screenshot, yeah, sorry, yeah, now you can see that there is a cursor over here. Now you can simply change a cursor width also. So if you want, you can pass a cursor color, like colors dot red. If you want to change the cursor color, you can provide a red, colors dot white. It's up to your choice, like how the cursor color you want it. You can also use a cursor width. Let's pass 2.0 or 8.0. Yeah, so here you can see that I have simply increased a cursor width. Yeah, so these are some important properties that you can simply use them in your app. Yeah, here you can see that I have written a container. Now I'm going to teach you about the widgets that simply make your app highly responsive. Now the here I have used a word responsiveness. Now the responsiveness is one of the most important thing when you are making a Flutter app, because when you will test the app in a multiple devices, you want that the app to be same in all the devices that the user use. Now this is called a responsiveness. So to make a responsive app, we need to use a responsive widgets. So first responsive widget is a expanded widget. Now here you can see the container, but you think that the container should use a complete height of the screen. I don't want to provide a fixed height over here. So it will automatically use a complete height with a widget name expanded. And now it's going to use a complete height of the screen. So this is how the expanded work, and expanded will simply rewrite this height. So it don't care what height you have passed over here. If you simply change it to 100, nothing work, because it simply overlap this height that you have passed in the container, and it simply tells that I will simply use as much height I have for this container widget by using expanded widget. Now if I will simply use a row over here, then the expanded widget will going to work vertically, sorry, horizontally, not vertically, horizontally, because a row simply help us to keep our widgets horizontally. I hope that it is much clear for you. Now here you can see that I have wrote this to container in a column widget. Now if I want that there should be a maximum space between this two container, I don't want that, I will simply use a size box. Now let me explain the size box first. Now if you want to simply provide a space between any widget, you simply use a size box, and through the size box you can simply pass the height like 30.0, 50.0. You can simply pass a space between the two widgets. But if you want that you want a maximum space between these two widgets, then here comes our second responsive widget, which is a spacer. So a spacer will simply give a maximum space between these two widgets, and as you can see that it simply give a maximum space, and this much space is being left after passing this to widget. Yeah, so this is a spacer. Now here comes our third responsive widget, which is a flexible widget. Now the flexible widget, as the word says, it simply provide a flexibility to your widget. So for example, if I will wrap up the container with a flexible widget, and I will simply tell the container to use as much space you want, like I will simply pass fit, and I will tell the flexibility to flex fit dot tight, and use as much space the screen has. So as you can see that after passing the height, the width of an container has been changed automatically, and it is trying to take how much space he can. Yeah, because we have passed some of the width over here. Now if I will simply pass 50 over here, then it will simply increase the width of an container. So it will simply rewrite this container with this flexible widget we have passed. Now if I will simply pass like wrap with widget flexible and will write flexible fit flex fit dot tight, then I will show you what will happen. 1 2 3 go. So this, you can see that now the property has been changed to 50-50, because as it's simply flexible widget tell the container to use as much space you have, and the flexible widget also tell this container to use as much space you have. So both the container decided to take let's a 50-50 thing, like 50-50 space, and here they have both have a 50-50 space. Now if I will change the flex fit to loose, then you will see that this container will now take very less space because it has been changed from tight to loose. Now a loose property will simply tell the container to use a minimum space. Yeah, so I think so you get to know a difference between a tight and the loose, how we can simply pass in a flexible widget. Now as we have covered our most of the widgets that we widely used in our Flutter app, so now we'll simply create our first app by using these widgets that I have simply taught you now. But before moving to our first app for this awesome Flutter beginner course, I want to simply tell you that many of the viewers are loving our videos but haven't hit that subscribe button yet. So show your support by hitting that subscribe button and be a part of our awesome Flutter family, because I'm trying to bring some more awesome series on this Flutter, and we have already made 10 to 12 apps before on this channel. So after learning this beginner course, you can simply follow that all the series and can simply add your some more apps to your app resume. So show your support by hitting that like and subscribe button. I hope that you have hit that like and subscribe button. Now let's move and create our first app. So this is a simple app that I will just create now by using a simple widget, which is a contact form app. So I will simply create one contact form where the user can simply see the image. Can we need to add two text field, or let's create three text field for our name, email and a password, and we'll also create one button where we can simply add this data. Yeah, so let's move, and first I need to simply show the app bar over here. So I will use a scaffold widget, and in the scaffold widget, as I have told you, we'll simply use a app bar. Now in the app bar I will simply pass a title, and here I will use a text, and I will pass my app name, which will be a contact form. So I am just creating one contact form so that any of the users can simply see my contact form and can contact me, right? Yeah, so here after writing a contact form, I need to simply change a color of this app bar. So here I will simply pass a background color, and let's keep the colors dot blue over here. And now we can simply change the color of an text widget. So we'll use a style, a text style. Now text style, and the color will simply use colors dot white, and we'll use font weight dot bold so that I can see the text clearly. So this is the our app bar we have created by using a scaffold widget. Right now let's move to the body, and here I've written a column widget. Now the reason for writing a column widget, because we want to simply show all the widgets in a vertical form, so that's why I've used a column widget. Now here first I want to simply show my image, so I will use the image.asset, because I have saved one image in the images folder, and will use images to, and will simply call images folder name and a boy.jpg. Now we can simply pass the height. Let's pass the height 50 with 50 and a fit boxfit.cover. Yeah, boxfit.cover. Now here you can see the image. Now I want to simply center this image. So you already know that we need to use a center widget. As you can see that it is very easy to code. You just need to keep like how to use all these widgets, and it is very easy to simply make your UI. Yeah, and now we'll simply pass the height so that I can simply pass a space from the top, and now I can increase the height and width of an image, which is this. Now if you want to provide a border radius, you already know that you need to wrap up the image widget with a clip react widget. Will use the border radius dot circular, and let's pass 30 or let's pass 60. Yeah, so here it is, and this is how we can simply pass an image. Now I want to simply show my name over here. So to show the name, I will use a container. Now, I will also teach you how to make this app responsive. So rather than passing a fixed width to the container, I will use a width over here, and will use a media query dot of context dot size dot width, and will simply tell a container to use a complete width of the screen. Now I'll simply use the height, like let's pass the height up to 40, and now we can pass decoration, a box decoration, color, let's pass colors dot blue. Yeah. Now here after a container, here you can see the container. Now you can see that it use a complete width of a screen, but I don't want that it simply stuck my left and right side of the screen. So I will simply write a margin edge inset dot only from the left 20.0. Yeah, so this is the container, or let's pass 30 and 30. Guess it is okay. Now we can pass a size box again, height 50.0. So these are the some details. Yeah, now we can simply pass 90, or let's keep it 50, I guess is okay. Now here I want to show first an icon, then my name. Yeah, or you can also show the text widget over here, so that you can simply tell that it simply shows my name over here. So first I'm going to use a text widget, and in the text widget I will simply write a name, that it is my name, which is simply going to show over here. I thought about like creating a text field and all, but for the text field and all, we need to add a backend. But as I want to simply keep it simple, so I will simply create one contact form with a name, phone number, address, and just these three things. I guess it is okay. Now here we'll use a style, text style. Now the color will simply pass colors dot black, font size will pass 20.0, and font weight will be simply 4. Yeah, so here you can see the name. Now if you want to bring the name over here, you already know that what we need to do, we need to simply pass a cross axis alignment dot start, because column cross is like this in the horizontal direction, and main is in the main is in the vertical direction. So it is clear. Now after this, we can also provide a padding. So we'll simply pass a padding to our text widget dot only from the left 20.0, or let's keep it 30, I guess, and we'll simply increase up to 24. We can use a size box again, so we'll copy and we'll paste it over here. We'll write 20, or let's keep it 10, I guess. Now here I can simply show my name. So first, as I have told you, I want to show the icon, so I will use a child row children. Now in the row, because I have used a row because I want to simply show the icon then my name, so two widgets in a horizontal direction, that's why I've simply used an row, and we'll write icons dot, and we'll write person, let's keep it person, and we'll simply pass the color, and we'll pass colors dot white. Yeah, I hope it is clear. Now we can also increase the icon size 30.0. We can pass the padding. So padding work inside the container and margin works outside the container. So these are the two different things between a padding and the margin. Yeah, we'll use edge insert dot only from the left 20.0, and here you can see that the padding work inside a container as I've told you. Now here I can simply show my name. So to show my name I need a text widget here again. So rather than writing a text widget, I will simply copy and will paste it over here, and I will write my name, which is Shivam Gupta. Yeah, now we can simply pass the color white. Yeah, now I can simply give a space size box width, let's pass 30.0. So here it is, and here you can see the icon and my name. Yeah, now if you want you can provide the border radius to this container. So we'll write border radius dot circular, and let's keep it 20. Yeah, so this is what we have created for our name. Now next I'm thinking that let's show the email. So I'll copy this container and size box here again, and we'll copy this and we'll paste, I think so. Let's copy all this thing and we'll simply paste it over here, and here it is. We'll decrease our height to 30 and we'll rename to email, and here let's remove this email, and here I'm going to show the icon which is mail, and now I will simply write my mail, which is shivam22ckp@gmail.com. Yeah, so this is my mail. But if you are facing this type of an error, like it simply fill the complete thing, you can decrease a font size up to 22, or let's keep it up to 20, I guess. Yeah, it's okay. And if you want you can, I think 30 will be good. Yeah, so now here you can see my email, name, and now a contact number. So we'll copy this and we'll simply paste over here, and here I will simply rename to phone, and we'll simply pass icon dot phone here, and here I will simply pass my contact detail. So I'm passing the random number, don't try to call on this number. Yeah, so it is the random number that I've simply write over here. So this is a contact detail, a email, and the name. So this is the contact form that I have created. Now I can simply share any of the user. I know it is a very basic app, but if you are beginner, then if you are creating all this thing, then you are ready to code for much of the apps now. So before moving to the app, I want to simply show you that how your app will look like and how you are going to code along with me. So here you can see this is the onboarding page, and here I have added some of the graphics in the onboarding page, and here you can see that this is a title of this app, which is discover your food. So this is a graphic image and this is the title, and here I have just added a lorem ipsum text, which is a random text. But if you want you can add some interesting text to make more attracting for the users to use this app. And here you can see a button name next. Now when I tap to this button, we'll directly move to the home page, and here you can see a menu icon, a profile page icon, get your food delivered. So this is a main code of our app that we have simply shown in the home page. And here you can see the all burger, pizza, pasta. So these are the some categories that I have tried to show in this food ordering app, where the user can simply click to this and can choose a specific category of the food item they need to order. Now here just below in the list view, they can simply see the food items like pizza, burger, and here they can see the ingredients and a price of that food item. They can also see top food deals. Here you can see that I have added a curved navigation bar, so that when the user will tap, they can simply move to the different pages like a cart page, order page, profile page. Now when I'll tap to this plus button, here I'll directly move to the food detail page, where you can see a name of a food item, which is pizza, and here you can see that the user can simply select a quantity of the food item they need to order, and here the total price will be shown, and add to cart button. So these are all the things that you are going to learn on this app, and this is a food ordering app that will simply make it from the scratch. So now let's move to the code. So here you can see the main.dart, and here you will see a debug banner at the top right position. So you can simply remove this debug banner by using debug show check mode banner to false. Now here in the leaf folder, I will simply create a new folder name which will be simply pages, and inside the pages folder, first I am going to create a onboarding page, or you can say a landing page. So here I will simply create a new file name which will be simply onboarding.dart, and here first I will simply import the package by using material.dart and will write a stateful widget which will be simply onboarding. Onboarding, something like this. Yeah, so once you have given this dart page name which is onboarding, now we need to simply use the image in the onboarding page as I've shown you in the starting of this video. So you can see that I have created one folder name which is images, and inside the images folder I have saved one image. Now when you want to use the image, when you have saved in the any of the assets folder, like I have named images, then you need to simply go to the perspec.ml file and simply call that file name. So here I will simply call my file name, or you can say folder name, which is an images. Now I can simply use the image file that I have saved in the images folder. Yeah, so let's move to the onboarding again here, and we'll write a scaffold, now a body, a container, a child, a column, and a children, something like this. Now here first I'm going to show the image, which is this image. So as you can see that there is some blue lines appears on each widget, though I tell on my each of the course, like I have made 10 to 12 apps before on this channel, and I have already made full delivery app from the scratch. If you can simply found in my channel. Yeah, so in my each series I tell that to simply remove these blue lines by using a two lines in the analysis options.eml file, something like here in on this file. So let me add these two lines in the rules section so that it will automatically remove that blue lines from there. Yeah, so here you can see that I have added these two lines. Now you can simply pause a video, or you can simply write this code over here in the rules section. So once you have done this thing, let's move to the onboarding.dart back again here, and here I need to simply write image.asset, and will simply write a image for images folder name, and will write image file name which is simply pan.png, png. Yeah, now we need to simply pass the color which will be background color, and will pass colors.white. So let me call this page so that I can show you what all code I am writing here. So I will simply call this page by writing onboarding. So we will simply write onboarding, and here you can see the image, but I need to simply decrease the image size. So I will simply pass the height. Let's pass the height 300, and let's pass the width 300, and a fit box fit dot cover. Yeah, something like this. Now we can simply center this by using a center widget. So we'll simply pass a center widget over here. Yeah, now I need to give some more space from the top, so I will simply use the size box. Let's keep the height up to 90.0, or let's keep it up to 120. Now here once we have done all this thing, here we need to show the main headline, or you can say the title of this app, which is discover your food, and I will add some random text like lorem ipsum text. But if you want to like add some more text to make your app unique, you can simply do that. So this is the headline that I am using, but you can simply edit in your way if you are thinking that you have any interesting idea to make it more attractive for the users to use this app. Now here I will simply use a text widget, and in the text widget I will simply write discover your food. Yeah, now we can simply pass a style, a text style, a color which will be colors dot black, a font size, let's keep it 22.0, and we'll simply pass font weight dot bold. Yeah, so this is the text. Now I think so I can increase the font size up to 24 or maybe up to 26. Yeah, now we can provide the space. So we'll write a size box. Let's keep the height up to 30.0. Now here you can see the title of this app, which is discover your food. Now here I can simply add a random text, which is a lorem ipsum text. But as I've told you, if you have any better idea, you can add some interesting thing over here to attract more viewers. Yeah, not viewers, are users. Yeah, so here now I need to use a text widget here again, and let me add that text because I don't remember a lorem ipsum text. So yeah, you can see that I have added the text over here, and through the text widget I had simply paste that text in the text widget, and this is the text that I have shown in the app. I've used some padding over here so that it won't like stuck in the left and right side of the screen, and here I've used text align dot center to so that I can simply center the each line that I'm going to show in this text widget. And this is a way you can simply make your app attractive. Yeah, so once you have done all this thing, now we can simply show the button over here which will be next. Yeah, so after this I will do one thing here to create a customized button. Over here just below this text I will use a container. Now in this container I will provide the width, and let's pass a media query. Now you already know the reason why I've used a media query, but if not, let me repeat it again. So media query is something that makes your app highly responsive. So that's why I'm not providing any fixed width over here, because if you provide a fixed width and if you try to check the app in your multiple devices, then there will be a chance that the app will not be as responsive as we expect. So that's why we need to use a media query, spacer, or like expanded widget, flexible widget. So these are the some widgets that can simply make your app highly responsive. Yeah, so this is the way we can use it. So we'll write media query dot of context dot size dot width divide by 2. Now we can use a decoration, a box decoration, and here I'm going to pass a customized color code to this container, or you can say a button. So here I will write 0xff and will write FF73734C. Yeah, so this is the color that I'm going to use. Now here let me pass the text widget where I can simply add the text which will be next. So we'll copy and paste the text. I think so we need to pass a child. Yeah, something like this. Let's remove this text and we'll simply write next over here. Yeah, so here you can see the text. Now I need to simply change in the color, which will be white, so that I can see the text. Color will be simply bold. We can increase our font size up to 24, I guess, and we can pass the height up to, let's pass 50, and we can center this. So remove this. Let me show the widgets. We can center it with a center widget. Now we can pass up to 60, and here we can use a border radius, and we'll pass a border radius dot circular. Let's keep it up to 20, I guess. 20 is okay. Now we can use a size box height. Let's keep the height 130, I guess. It's okay. Yeah, so here you can see a next button. If you want, you can also provide like something to make it more like a button like thing, like in elevation form. So you can use a material widget. So you can simply wrap up with a widget name material, and we can simply pass the elevation up to 3.0, and we can pass a border radius to the material widget 2. Yeah, so here it is, and now it's look like a button, and the user can simply click to this button and directly land to the home page. Yeah, so this is our onboarding page is done. So this is how we can simply make a onboarding page by just using a graphic design, a title, some attractive text, to make this more interesting, and a button just like next, or if you want to show the get started button, you can also do that. Yeah, so if you haven't hit that like button till now, then I have a small request from you all. Please show your support by hitting that like button, and let's be a part of this channel by hitting that subscribe button too, because I have noticed that while many of the viewers are loving our videos but haven't hit that subscribe button yet. So show your support by hitting that subscribe button, because like and button is totally free. Yeah, so now let's move to the pages folder, and we'll simply create our main page of this app, which is home page. So we'll write home.dart, and here we'll simply import the package by using material.dart, and we'll write a stateful widget name which will be simply home, something like this. Now here we can simply write a scaffold widget, a body, container, a child, a column, and a children. Yeah, so this is the thing that we need to usually add in all the Dart files. Now once we have done all this thing, first thing I'm going to show over here is a menu button. So let's add that button first. So I will simply use the icon and will write icons dot menu. Yeah, so this is the button as you can see here. So once you write icon, it will simply show the icon over here. So let's move to the home page by using home file name, and here you can see the button, but to show the button we need to add a margin to the container. So we'll write edge insert dot only from the top. Let's pass the margin up to 50, and let's pass from the left up to 20, and we can increase a size of an icon by using size 35.0. So here you can see the menu icon. Now once you have shown this menu icon, I can simply show the text like get your food delivered. So this is the main text that I want to show here in the home page. So rather than copying the text widget here again, I will copy this text widget and will simply paste it something over here. Yeah, now we can simply write get your food. Now we can simply change it to the black color so that I can see the text, and we'll simply write W500. So here you can see the text. Now I need to bring the icon over here, so we'll simply write cross axis alignment dot start. We can pass a size box, I mean the height between these two widgets, which will be 40.0. Yeah, or let's keep it 30, I guess. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, now we can use a text widget here again, and we'll show the text name delivered. So we'll write delivered. Yeah, and we can make it bold, so we'll write bold, and we can also increase a font size up to 30. Yeah, or let's keep it 26, and 30, I guess it's okay, or make it 30. It's up to your choice, like how you want to simply make your design and thing. Yeah, and 30. Yeah, so here it is, and here we can see the icon and the main text for our app. Now once we have done this thing, here I want to show the, you can say, a profile icon. Rather than icon, I'm thinking that let's show the user image over here, so that when the user will tap to his image, they will directly move to the profile page. So that will also indicate like this image will navigate them to a profile page. Yeah, so because 99% of the users who are using the app are smart, so they know that when they will tap to this image, they will directly redirect to a profile page. Yeah, so let's show the user image over here. So I don't have any user image in the images folder, so let me paste some random image. So I've added one random image which is a boy image. Now I want to show the image over here, so I need to wrap up the icon with a row widget, and we'll simply use image.asset, and we'll use images folder, which is our images folder. Yeah, now boy.jpg, and now we need to provide the height, which is 50, and let's keep the width 50 and the fit box fit dot cover. Yeah, so here you can see the image. Now I need to bring something over here. So what we need to do, main axis alignment dot space between, and we can provide the space from the right position to, let's keep it up to 20. We can provide the border radius, so we need to wrap up with a clip react widget, and here we need to use a border radius dot circular, let's give it 30. Yeah, so here you can see the image of the user, text. I think so there is lots of space between this icon and the text, I guess. Let's keep it up to 20. Yeah, now here once we have done this things, I need to show like a categories over here, a list of categories you can see. So like all, burger, pizza, or let me remind some more food items, burger, pizza, all. And what should be kept, pasta, let's keep pasta, burger, pizza, all. So this is the four categories that I can keep. Now if you have any more idea like anything, you can simply keep on adding on these categories. So let's do this. So here we need to use a list view because I need to simply show the thing in the horizontal direction. So I will use a list view, and here we need to use a children, and in the children I need to first show the container. Now in this container I need to show the child a text. Our first text will be all, so we'll write all over here. Now we need to use a style, a text style. Color will be simply colors dot white, and a font size 20.0 or 18.0, let's keep it 80.0, and font weight dot bold. Now there is one more way to show the list view, like you can use a list view dot builder, because I have used many times list view builder to show the list, because it will be more easy for the viewers to use a list view, but that is something which come in advanced Flutter, like advanced coding, or you can say. So that's, so in that we need to use simply a list view dot builder. We need to have a knowledge about how to use the list and how to simply pass a data and show the data using a different stateless widget. So I think so that will be a simply like a complex thing if you are making this food delivery app for the first time. So in this app I'm trying to simply make it simple, so that the beginners who want to simply use this, like learn a Flutter coding, they can simply code along with me. They don't need to simply do advanced coding and all. So that's why I'm keeping this list view as simple as I can. So if you think that there is much more way to write a list view, I know you are correct, but the reason I'm writing in this way is because so that the each beginner who are learning the Flutter for the first time, they don't face any problem to write a code. I think so that's much clear. Yeah, so here we need to use a decoration, a box decoration, and here I need to use a color. So I'm going to use the same color that we have used for the next button, because this is our app main color, you can see that. Yeah, so we'll copy this color. This color gone, yeah, here it is. So we'll copy this color and we'll simply paste it something over here. So there will be some bug, I know that there is a render box error thing. Now let me explain you what is render box error and how you can simply fix that. So a list view is something that needs like how much space I should use in the app. So if you use the list view something like this, then it will simply show the render box error. And this error is that I don't know how much space I should use in your app to show the list. So that's why this error you are facing. So to fix this error, just wrap up with list view with a container and tell him that this is the specific space and you can use that much space. So that's why I will pass the height up to 50, or I think so 50 will be too less. Let's keep it 120. Yeah, and because we need to pass in the horizontal direction, so I will simply pass a scroll direction axis dot horizontal, something like this. And now here you can see that, and let's keep it 50. I guess it will be okay for the list view to use that much space. Yeah, so think like a list view is a good children. He want that the instructor to instruct him how much space he should take, and instructor can simply tell them use the this much height, and the list view will use that much height. So this is a good boy thing. Yeah, so think that a list view is a good boy thing. So here we have wrote a container, and we'll simply pass a width, and we'll pass a width to this container. Let's keep it up to 80. Yeah, and now we can simply center this by using a center widget. And here you can see the alt text category, you can see. Now we can simply pass the height, like size box height 40.0, something like this. 40 will be too much. Let's keep it 20. It is okay. Yeah, now let's keep it up to 40. I think so 40 it is okay. Yeah, now we can provide a border radius, and the border radius will be circular, and let's keep it up to 20. So here you can see that. But if you want to show that the category that have been selected, something like this, then you can show that, and the other categories that have not been selected, we will simply show them in the elevation form, like in the elevated form, so that it will be like in more highlighted category. Let me show you how I'll do that. But in the other categories, I'm going to show the image with a name of that category, right? Like burger, then I want to simply show some icon related to the burger. Same for the pizza and pasta, right? So that's why let me add some images in the images folder so that I can use them, right? Yeah, so here you can see that I have added burger image, a pizza image, and a pasta image. But there is one more thing, that in the pasta I have got this image for the pasta, like it is an icon of an pasta. I don't know how it is pasta and how this pasta look. I didn't eat a pasta like this before. So if you ate this type of pasta, then it's good, then we can use that. I don't know what type of pasta that was. Yeah, so let's move, and here we can use a container here again. And in the container, now I think so we need a container with a color which will be colors dot white. Yeah, let's keep the height as it is. Now we need to use a image and the text widget both together. So let's remove this center widget from here, and here we need to simply wrap up with a row widget. And in the row widget I will use image, and will use image dot asset, yeah. And here we need to write a images folder name and a image file name, which is burger dot png, and we can simply pass the height. Let's keep the height 30, width will be also 30, and a fit box fit dot cover. So let me write burger over here, not burger, burger. So we'll write burger. Yeah, change the color to black, something like this. So here you can see the text name burger. I think so let's remove this width. We don't need a necessary width over here. We can use a size box, and we'll pass a width over here which will be 30.0, and we can provide the width over here too. Let's keep it 10. It's okay, I guess. 22 is okay. Yeah, W500 burger for burger. Yeah, this is burger. Now we can use like a material widget. So what we need to do, we need to wrap up with a material widget. We need to pass the elevation 3.0. So here it is. Now we need to wrap up with again with a container so that I can provide some padding agent set dot all. Let's keep it 10. So after providing the padding, you can see that the container size decrease because there is a fixed, because as you know list views are like a good student, he know how much space he need to use. So I need to tell him that let's use more height, something like this, or let's keep it up to 80. 80 is okay, I guess. Yeah, but all didn't look good, so we need to provide the height to all up to 60. No, because we have already provided the height to the list view, so that's why it won't change from here. So that's why we need to use a margin edge inset dot only. From the top we can pass up to 30.0. 30 I guess will be too much. Let's pass from the bottom to 0. Yeah, so this way we can decrease our size. 20 and 20. Yeah, so now it's good, I guess. Now we can provide this over here. We can provide a width up to like 150, and let's keep it up to 200 or 180, and we can center this by using main axis alignment dot center. So this is burgir, and here now we can provide a border radius. So we'll write border radius. So where we have provided border, Ocha, we need to provide something over here. Yeah, so here you can see the burgir. Let's keep it up to 10. Yeah. So this will simply show that the non-selected categories. Now let me add two more categories for pasta and pizza. So we'll copy this container, we'll paste it over here, we'll write pasta, and here is pasta, and we'll write pasta. Yeah, so this is pasta, this is burger. Now you can see that it's simply cut from the right side, which won't look good. So let me remove this from the right position, and here I can simply wrap up with a padding widget, and we'll write edge inset dot only. From the right, let's pass 20.0. Yeah, now it's okay, I guess. Yeah, now it's look good. Will be okay, because so here let's show a pizza and a pizza. Yeah, so here it is. Now the category we can add over here, which is pasta and a pasta. So here you can see all the categories that we have shown in the app. Now if you want to add some more categories in the app, you can simply keep on adding the categories here in the list view, something like this. So here it is done. Now I'm going to show, like, if the user have selected all categories, then the all food categories over here. So I have added some more images over here, which is like some pizza, burger. So let me rename this to burger. Yeah, so I think so the name will be same. So let rename this to burger 1. .jpg. Yeah, so here it is done. Now here I need to simply create a container widget, and in this container widget I will simply use a child, a column, and a children. Now in this children I need to use image.asset and will use images folder here again, and in this images folder I need to simply write a image file name which is pizza1.jpg. Let's move, and here you can see the image, but the image use a width of the screen, but I will simply pass the height and width. Let's keep the height up to 120 and let's pass the width up to 120, and we'll simply pass the fit which will be simply box fit dot cover. Yeah, so here you can see the image, but let's pass the space from the top. So we'll pass the space height, let's pass 20.0, something like this. Now I think so we need to increase width and the height also, because we can't see the item clearly. Yeah, something like this. I think so it is okay, I guess. Now we need to simply wrap up with a clip react widget. So we'll wrap up with a widget which will be simply clip react, and now we can simply provide the border radius to this image. So we'll use a border radius circular. Let's pass it 10, or let's pass it 20. I think so 20 will look good. Now here you can see the first item, but let's add the more detail. This is just a image. So here we'll pass a decoration, a box decoration, and here I'm going to pass the color which will be simply colors dot white. Yeah, now here once we have done all this thing, we need to simply pass a text widget. So why to write the text widget here again? So we'll copy it from here and we'll paste it, and we'll simply pass a food name which is pizza, something like this. Now you can see the text, but we'll use a cross, and we'll use a cross axis alignment dot start, and we can use a space too, like between this image and the text widget. So for that I need to use a size box, and let's pass the height 20.0, and also make this text to bold form. So we'll use dot bold, something like this. Now here once we have done all this thing, we can use a text widget here again, so that we can show that what all ingredients present on this pizza or any of the food item. Yeah, so we'll copy the text widget here again, we'll paste it something over here, and here we'll use like cheese, and what should I add? What is more on the pizza? Let's pass tomato. I think so tomato is there in pizza. I don't like pizza, so I don't eat too much pizza, so I don't know what should I write in the ingredients. So let me think about it. Let's pass like bread. Yeah, bread. Yeah, and we'll simply pass W500, and we'll simply make it up to 18, something like this. Now we can show the price, so we'll copy the text widget from here again, and we'll paste it something over here, and now we are going to pass the price that we want to show, and we'll simply pass the price up to 50, and let's increase a font size up to 24. Yeah, here I guess it's okay. We can pass size box height 5.0. We'll use a row, and in the row first I'm going to show the reason for using the row widget, because here you can see the text. Now I want to simply show the button, like a plus button, so that the user can simply add this food item in their cart. So to do that I need to simply use a container. Now the decoration, a box decoration. Now in the box decoration I need to simply use the color. So the color that I'm going to use over here will be the color that we have passed in the all section. So yeah, so this is the color, and we'll simply paste it something over here, and now here I will simply use a child, and in the child I am going to show the icon which will be icons dot add, and the color of an icon will be simply white. So we'll write colors dot white. So this is the icon. Now I need to bring the icon something over here. So we'll use main axis alignment dot space between. Nah, it's too much space. I don't need this much space. uh, I think so this is happening because we didn't wrap up the container with a list view widget. So we need to simply wrap up the container with a widget which will be a list view. I think so. Rather than wrapping it like this, let's wrap up to a children widget first, and we'll rename the column to list view. Yeah, something like this. So here I'm making this app like a basic UI, or you can say advanced UI, because we are trying to use a lots of thing in this food delivery app. But if you want to simply make this app from the scratch with all the backend and everything, you can simply follow our food delivery app series, because I've already made food delivery app and e-commerce app, or like 10 to 12 apps before on this channel. So I will simply paste a playlist link in the comment box. You can simply tap to that link and can follow a complete like a series, a different type of series, and you can add some more apps to your resume. Yeah, so let's move, and here we'll use a scroll direction and we'll simply pass axis dot horizontal. Now as I've told you that list view is like a good student, so we need to simply tell them how much space we need to he need to use. Yeah, so we need to pass an container and we'll simply pass the height. Let pass the height up to 300. Yeah, now you can see this. Now we can use, I think so we can now use space between will not work because it is a list view. So that's why I need to use like a size box, and we can use a width like this 50.0, or let's keep it up to 90. Yeah, now here it is. And if you want to provide some more padding, you can simply increase the padding of a container up to 5. And now we can use a border radius, which will be a border radius dot circular, and let's pass up to 10. Yeah, so this is the button. Now we need to provide a same border radius to this complete container. So we'll simply use a border radius here again, and we'll use the border radius dot circular, and let's pass up to 10. And now we can also use the elevation so that I can see this container clearly, because I can't see this container clearly. Yeah, so we'll wrap up with widget, we'll pass material, we'll pass the elevation 3.0, and now we can use the border radius here again. So let's pass it something over here, and now we can use a padding, which will be padding agent set dot all. Let's pass up to 10. Yeah, and we need to pass some more height, or let's keep it up to, I think so, 350 or 320, I guess. Now you can also use a media query in the height. It's not a necessary thing to pass a fixed height over here. Yeah, now we can simply pass some more radius. I think so 10 is not look good, so 20 it is okay, I guess. Yeah, so here it is, and here I have shown the first item. Now let me add some more items over here. So we'll copy this material widget here again, and we'll simply paste it something over here. And now we can use something like a margin, because it's simply stuck from down. So if we are making the app make in that way that it looks really good and it can engage a user, yeah, who is using the app. Yeah, so we'll use a margin from the bottom, and we'll pass up to 40.0. 40 will be too much, so let's pass up to 10. 10 is okay, I guess. From the left, if you want, you can pass, but I will pass from the right, and let's pass from the right, which will be 20.0, something like this. And it's good, I guess. We can pass size box with 10.0. Here it's okay. Now once we have shown the pizza, now we can simply show the second item, which is a burger. So we'll write burger, and we'll write burger1.jpg. So this is our second food item, and we'll simply rename the text to burger. And here we need to use a like ingredients that this burger has. So let's pass. I think so the burger has tomato, so I'm writing tomato, and here I can simply write like, what should I write? uh, let's write cheese. Yeah, cheese. So cheese and tomato, and here we can increase the price up to $80, and here we can again wrap up with a container widget. We can use the margin agent set dot only. From the bottom, let's pass 10.0. Yeah, so here it is, and here you can see the second item. Now if you want, you can add some more items over here to simply make a complete all category. As if you want, you can add a backend also, and if you want me to add a backend on this food delivery app, please let me know in the comment box, and let's keep the like aim of this video of 1k likes, and if you complete that like, I will definitely add the backend to this app from the scratch. Yeah, so let's hit that like button and let's complete the aim of 1k likes. Now here it is done. Now let's move. So now I'm going to show the top food deals just below these categories. So to show that, first I need to create a headline of this page. So first close this list view from where? From here, I guess. Yeah, we'll close this list view. Now we need to copy the text widget here again, and we'll simply paste it something over here, and here I will rename the text to top food deals. Yeah, so here you can see the text. Now we can simply make it in the bold form, and we can increase up to 25, or let's keep it 23, I guess. Now we can use a size box, and let's keep the height up to 20.0. Yeah, it's okay. Now we can use some food items to show over here. Padding against dot 0. Yeah, so there was not any, like, if there is like unknown space in the list view, you can use like padding agent set dot 0, because there is a default padding that list view gives, so you can use that. Now here to show the food items, I will do one thing. I'll copy this container here again with a list of food items, and we'll copy and we'll paste it something over here again, and here you can see the items. Now let me pass the single child scroll view so that the user can simply scroll the screen and you won't face this error. So I will simply do one thing. We'll simply wrap up the container with a single child scroll view. Yeah, so here you can see the error has been gone, and now we can see the all categories food items and our top food deals. So these are the two things. I think so there is lot of space from the left position, or let's keep it 20. Yeah, now it's okay, I guess. Yeah, so if you want, you can change a food items over here. This is, as I've told you, I'm making just for the UI. I will teach you how to make a good design and how to simply use a widgets in this Flutter app. Now let's move ahead, and here I'm going to show the bottom navigation. So through the bottom navigation, I will simply show the home page, and I think so we can show the, I think so let's pass a booking page, a profile page, and if you want, you can show also a cart page. So these are the four things that you can simply show. Yeah, so let's move to the perf dev, because we need to simply copy one package name, which is curved bottom navigation bar. As I have told you, we'll move to the curved navigation bar, and we'll need to copy the package. So let's move to the perf dev, and here I will simply search curved navigation bar. Yeah, and here this is the package that we are going to use. Now we need to copy this package, and we'll simply copy this package and we'll simply use it in a perspec YAML file so that I can use this package. Yeah, Now this curve navigation bar is something like an animated form navigation bar that you can simply use, like it looks really good. So I usually would curve navigation bar in most of the apps. Now here, as I've told you, the pages that we are going to assign in the curve navigation bar is that. So the first one is home. Now the second I'm thinking that to keep a cart, so I will simply write cart dot dart and will simply import the package by using material.dart and will write a stateful widget name which will be simply a cart. Yeah, so this is the thing. Now this is the second page. Now I need a third page. A third page, let's keep like a booking page. So we'll write booking dot dart and will again import the package by using material.dart and will write a stateful widget name which will be simply a booking. Yeah, so here it is. Now the fourth page will be a profile page, so we'll write profile.dart and we'll again import the package by using material.dart and we'll write a stateful widget name which will be a profile. Yeah, so these are the 4 pages. Now let's code for the bottom name. So let's also create a page for the bottom name. So we'll write bottom name dot dart and we'll import the package by using material.dart and a stateful widget name which will be a bottom name, something like this. Now let's move with a bottom name. So here first I'm going to use the int current tab index. Now the int current tab index will help us to simply keep a track of like which image, I'm telling the image, which icon that the user have selected. So it will simply navigate the user to that page. So for an example, if the user have clicked to the cart icon, then the app will simply navigate the user to the cart page. So the current tab index will simply keep a count of like which page that the user is selecting, right? I hope that is clear. Now we'll use a list and we'll use a list, and in this list like widget which will be in the form of widget, and here we are going to store all the pages that we have created. A widget here again and a current page. Now the current page, as I've told you, the word says it will simply store like which page we want to show. Now let's call all the page one by one. Yeah, so I've written all the pages that we want to show. Now let's store the pages in the pages list that I've created. So for that I need to use a init state, and in this init state I will simply call the page one by one. Which is an booking and a profile which will be a profile, yeah, and the cart which will be the cart, something like this. So here it is done, and let's store all the thing in the pages list that I've created. So for that I need to use a home, the first one. The second I'm going to show, let's show the cart first, then a booking. So we'll use a cart, booking, then a profile. So here it is done, and now I need to simply store a current page. So for the default I'm going to show the home page in the current page. Yeah, now let's move and write a code to show the navigation bar. So here I'm going to write a scaffold and a bottom navigation bar, and here I'm going to use a curve navigation bar which will be a curve navigation bar, and in the I think so let's pass the items first, then I'm going to add a color, height and all. So first the icon will be simply like icon, and we'll simply pass icons dot home outlined, and let's pass the color of this icon, which is colors dot white. Let's pass the shopping cart also, so we'll use icon icon and I think so, yeah, it's okay. We can pass the icon, and the icons will be icons dot and a shopping cart, shopping bag it's showing, no, not shopping bag, it is a cart. So what is that icon? Yeah, here it is, shopping cart. Now the color will simply pass colors dot white, and the third icon will be icons dot shopping bag, and we'll also pass the color, which will be colors dot white, and let's pass the outline, same for here outline, and the fourth one will be the profile. So we'll use the icons dot profile, and we can simply, not a profile, sorry, a person outline. Yeah, so these are the some icons that I'm going to use in the app to show the bottom navigation bar. Now let's pass the main thing, the function over here. So first I'm going to pass the height, like how much height I want to show for this curved navigation bar. The background, wait a second, the background color, and we'll simply pass the background color, colors dot white, and the color will be simply colors dot black. I hope that I'm writing the correct color over here. I will see that once we run all this thing. Now we can simply pass the animation duration. So we'll pass the animation duration. Now the animation duration is something. So for an example, when the user will tap to the home page and they simply tap to the second page, not second option or icon, then how much time it should take from home icon to shift to the another icon. So this is the animation duration, and you can simply pass the duration up to like a milliseconds, and we'll pass a milliseconds 500. Yeah, now in the on tab, here in the on tab we'll simply pass the index, and here I'm going to simply show the index that I've told you. The use of current tab index is here, so we'll use the in tab index something like this. So once you have wrote all this thing, the main command that we need to add is a body. So the body, through the body we'll simply keep the track of like to show the pages. So for that I need to write a body, and we'll write a pages and a current tab index. So our bottom navigation is done, and let's call this so that I can show you what all code we have written over there. So bottom nav, yeah, so here you can see the bottom navigation and how we can simply navigate to a different pages by using a bottom navigation. Now if you think that the size of an icon is really small, you can simply increase the icon from the bottom nav to, yeah, so we can simply pass the size up to 30.0, and we can pass the same size in each of the cases. If you want, you can do that. Yeah, so here you can simply increase the icon size, and you can simply navigate to a different pages. So our bottom navigation is also done. Now let's move with a main thing, which is to show the food in detail so that the user can simply order them. So we'll move to the pages folder, and we'll simply create a new file name, which will be let's keep the file name food detail, and we'll write food detail dart, and we'll simply import the package by using material.dart yeah. Now we'll write a stateful widget, and we'll simply pass the page name, which will be a food detail. Yeah, now we need to simply write a scaffold, a body, a container, a child, and a column, and a children, something like this. Now here I'm going to show the first food item, not in the home page. I will show you how, where I thinking to show that. So first I need to use a row, a children, and the icon, and the icon will be icons dot back arrow. So we'll write arrow back new iOS rounded. The color will be simply colors dot black. So let's navigate to the page so that I can show you what all code I'm writing over here. But before moving to this page, if you haven't hit that subscribe button till now, so let's hit that subscribe button and be the part of this awesome Flutter family, because this is just like we have created 10 to 12 apps in this channel, but I'm going to bring some more awesome series on this channel. And if you want to learn a Python, the Python series is also ongoing. So I have already uploaded like 2 to 3 parts of an Python, so you can still also learn about more about a Python. So this is the one of the most interesting channel on the YouTube, where you can simply learn different type of codings and can also make the app from the scratch. So hit that subscribe button, because I'm noticing that many of the viewers loving our videos but haven't hit that subscribe button yet. So show your support by hitting that subscribe button. Now let's move forward, and here you can see the back arrow. Now you can't see, but let's pass the margin. So we'll use the margin as insert dot only from the top 50.0. Now if you want, you can increase a size of an icon up to 30.0, and you can do from the left, and we'll pass the left from 20.0. So here you can see the now icon. Now we need to simply wrap the icon with a gesture detector, and in the onTap method I need to simply pass navigator dot pop context, something like this. Now once you have written all this thing, as I've told you, I need to simply show the image over here. Now to show the image, I will simply use image dot asset, and the image is folder name. And now I need to write let's show a burger, I guess, dot jpg. The height is too much, maybe 50. Let's keep the width 50. Let me add some another thing, or let's pass like burger dot png. Png will look good, I guess. This is a cartoon image, but if you want, you can show this also, like a 180 and up to 180, and it will be simply a fit box fit dot cover. Yeah, so this is the image. Now we can simply bring the back arrow over here. So to do that, we need to simply use a cross. No, I don't think so. We need a cross. Why I pasted in a row widget? Sorry for that. I need to paste it outside a row widget. So here you can see the icon or image, you can say that. So cartoon image doesn't look good, so let me find some another image that I can show over here. So now you will see that how this food detail page has been completely done. But sorry for that, I don't know, I was recording a video, but in my device there is some storage problem. Though this is a Apple product, but still we face a problem, like the recording automatically stops when I was recording this food detail page. But I will fix that problem, no worries about that. But let me explain you what all code I have written in this food detail page. So here you can see that I have added one image. So this is the image that I am getting from the image folder, which is this pizza image. And here you can see that I have shown the food name. So this is how I have used a row widget. Now the reason for using the row widget is because first, as I have told you, I have shown the food name, which is pizza, by using a text widget. And now here you can see that the user can simply increase or decrease the quantity of the food item they want to order. So to handle that, I have used an container. Yeah, so through this container I can simply handle like the amount of the quantity the user need to select to order and food, right? So that's why you will see this container over here. Now in the lorem ipsum text, so for an example, if the admin wants to add the food detail, they want to simply show over here, they can simply do that by adding this detail about a food. Yeah, so this is how I have done through the text widget, and here I've shown a lorem ipsum text. Now this is the main part. As you can see, it looks really good by this color and this design. And here you can see the total price, like a total price of this food item after selecting the quantity. So this had been shown over here with a add to cart button. So this add to cart button will simply allow the user to add this food item in their cart. So this is how I have just make this detail page. There is nothing complex, just the use of a different widgets and how you want to simply design the app. Yeah, so this is easy. So don't think that it is complex or something, but still you are facing a problem to write all this code, and you think that once you get a code you can simply code easily, then I will simply paste a code link. So then you can simply get a source code from the description box. I will simply provide the link over there. Now this is how we can simply make a unique and a attractive design for any app by using just a simple widgets. As you can see that I have tried my best to make it easy for the viewers who are learning the Flutter for the first time. So that's why I've tried my best to simply use widgets and make the app as beautiful as I can. So here when you will move to the bottom nave, you can see that this is how our home page looks, and here you can see the different categories of food items, top food deals, etc., with a following like a navigation bar, like a profile icon, a shopping cart icon, a shopping bag icon, a home icon. So congratulations, you have simply completed a Flutter beginner course, and now you have lots of logic behind the code and the widgets we widely write in the VS Code. Now as I have told you, I have already made 10 to 12 apps before on this channel. Now you can simply follow all that series and can add some more apps to your resume, because now you won't face any problem to know about a code and the widgets that we'll cover in that series. And let's keep the like game on this video of 1k likes. I know you will definitely do that, as I am noticing that while many of you are loving our videos but haven't hit that subscribe button yet. So show your support by hitting that subscribe button, and let's be a part of this awesome Flutter family. Until then, keep coding, keep having fun. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.